Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 31st episode of our Cyber Threat Intel Briefing. Today is January 3rd, 2024. Happy New Year to everyone. So today is a little known fact day. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln is in the Wrestling Hall of Fame? This was actually news to me. The 6'4" president had only one loss among over 300 contests. He earned a reputation in New Salem, Illinois as an elite fighter. So I thought that was pretty interesting. He's one of my favorite presidents. So in today's briefing, we're going to be covering the most recent trends that our threat intelligence team is witnessing in the trenches. My name is Keith Wojciech, Global Head of Threat Intelligence for Kroll. This week, we're joined by Senior Vice President George Glass and Vice President Sarah Becker from our Cyber Threat Intel team. So let's talk news you can use for January 3rd, 2024. KHO, a German hospital network, has confirmed that a cyber attack launched by the Lockbit ransomware group caused recent service disruptions at 3 hospitals in this network. The attack occurred on December 24th, 2023, impacting the systems that support operations in these 3 hospitals. The threat actors encrypted data, although at this moment the investigations are underway and the extent of the damage cannot be determined, but Kroll is watching out for this. So as the new year begins, so does new malware. New malware was found in analysis of Russian attacks on Ukraine and in Poland. Researchers have discovered new cyber operation against the Ukrainian and Polish organizations attributed to the Russian state-controlled hacker group Fancy Bear, which I know no one here is probably not familiar with. During the attacks in December, threat actors sent phishing emails to the victims with malicious attachments. Once they're opened, the attachments infected targeted devices, with the malware. The malware written in Python can upload files and execute commands. In the latest campaign, the hackers actually used uploaded data stealing malware called Steelhook, which targets web browsers, and backdoor called Ocean Map, which leverages email software. So Kroll CTI team and malware analysis group are currently assessing these malware strains, and we'll update you again once we have more. So today we're going to cover the trends that our team is concentrating on. We're going to look at Horizon for 2024, Microsoft disables ms-appinstaller, and the Ransomware Roundup with Sarah. So as we step into 2024, the landscape has so many uncertainties. FBI facing off against Black Hat, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the tensions in Israel. In the whirlwind of all of these global events, the question arises, how do we increase our cyber resilience for what lies ahead? So George and the team have put together essential topics as we shape our defenses for 2024. So gazing into the future, the integration of AI and machine learning is no longer on the horizon. It's actively shaping cyber warfare. These technologies are used both as tools for cyber attacks and as defenses against them. So the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic exposed several vulnerabilities in supply chains, illustrating really the potential catastrophe and consequences of an attack. The vulnerability is not a passing phase. It will persist and intensify in these times ahead. So in 2023, zero-day vulnerabilities, we've seen so many of those, especially at Kroll, and has emerged as a significant exploit and will escalate further in 2024. So as we all know, ransomware, right? It's the ever-evolving nature. It poses an ongoing challenge for everyone. Threat actors are honing on their attacks, honing on their tactics. They're targeting specific victims and adopting, we all seen the double and triple extortion as a standard practice. So to name a few, CLOP actors have shown the capability to develop zero-day vulnerabilities, and other ransomware groups such as Black Hat and Lockbit have quickly leveraged one-day vulnerabilities to exfiltrate data and deploy ransomware. So I'm going to turn it to George. George, with the rest you see here, can you enlighten us on any further and additional concerns shaping up for 2024?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that targeting of remote workers is still such a huge thing. In 2023, we saw a pretty significant rise in the stealer market, commodity malware designed to steal credentials from web browsers. It's common practice, let's be honest, that people store corporate credentials on their personal devices, and we're seeing that threat emerge in 2023 quite significantly, we see that continuing into 2024 as well. Of course, business email compromise, if we We talk about it pretty much every single quarter in our quarterly updates, but it is such a huge threat. There's a number of very sophisticated attacks now, actor in the middle of attacks that have the capability to bypass multi-factor authentication, token theft, and so on. I think business email compromise will continue to be a threat in 2024 and beyond. Of course, we've got some of the more novel products that people are moving to. Of course, the cloud migrations have been going on for some time, but there are significant cloud security challenges. Detection and response in the cloud is absolutely different than what it is in a traditional environment. And so security teams are going to need to be aware of cloud security, how their posture looks in the cloud, so on and so forth. And similarly, IoT as well. Securing IoT can be very, very challenging, and threat actors know that. You don't have to look very far on the web to find a litany of IoT vulnerabilities that threat actors can leverage. And then there's something that maybe we wouldn't have put in until a few months ago, but of course there's a lot of regulatory changes going on at the moment, and threat actors know this as well, right? We saw Black Hat using SEC filings as a pressure tactic for some of their ransomware victims. So again, something else to consider when you're putting your security budget and security team together for this year. I'll keep going, shall I, Keith, and talk everyone through some of the news regarding ms-appinstaller. This isn't a repeat. You may remember earlier last year we talked about the abuse of ms-appinstaller a couple of times, and the fact that Microsoft were disabling it in response to a vulnerability that was being leveraged to install MSIX links, using those to deploy malware. Well, as of November, it seems to be happening again. So as I was saying, ms-appinstaller, the protocol itself was used by Emotet and Bazaar loader campaigns in the past. We saw a pretty significant amount of that going on. However, seems recently, Microsoft have reported that 4 financially motivated groups, one of which we track as KTA 008, aka Fin7 or Sangria Tempest, have been taking advantage of the app installer service, and they've been using that to push multiple strains of malware. I do recommend reading the Microsoft article on this, as it's got some great detail on some of the campaigns, but maybe not so much of a surprise of how these things are delivered. Attacks are pretty much limited to email phishing, which we all know about, Microsoft Teams phishing, that emerging threat that we've been tracking since sort of July of last year, and malicious advertisements as well. Of course, we've been tracking that very closely. And then that's basically used to deliver some JavaScript that can be in a button click, or just running a file. And you can see in there, there's an ms-appinstaller link, which can point to a malicious MSIX and download and install onto a victim's device. So Microsoft have taken some mitigation actions. They've once again disabled the ms-appinstaller protocol handler by default in the latest version of AppInstaller. No indication yet of whether that's going to be turned back on or not, although personally I think I'd recommend keeping it turned off. And they've also discovered some code signing certificates that were used by the various malware strains as part of these campaigns. Some of them, like Batloader, were using some signing certificates. Those have been revoked now, and we're going to be adding those to our threat intelligence corpus, of course. Yeah, I think that's it from me. I'll pass back to you, Keith. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I was double muted. My apologies. Thanks, George. Sarah, let's talk ransomware, right? Decryptors are a great thing to hear about. We're always talking about, hey, we can decrypt this, decrypt that. So 2024 is hit, January 3rd, third day of the year, and you are going to motivate us with decryptors and black bast. What do you got?
Yeah, no problem, Keith. So, researchers at Security Research Labs have actually published a tool set on GitHub that's been created to help various victims of the ransomware to recover their data. These tools are able to exploit a weakness in Black Box's encryption algorithm. So, according to the researchers at Security Research Labs, they're saying that their analysis suggests that files can be recovered if the plain text of 64 encrypted bytes is known. So whether a file is fully or partially recoverable depends on the size of the actual file. So they're saying that files below the size of 5,000 bytes cannot be recovered. For files between 5,000 bytes and 1 gigabyte in size, full recovery is possible. And then they're also stating that for files larger than 1 gigabyte, the first 5,000 bytes will be lost, but the remainder can be recovered. So there are some stipulations, but it is nice to have this tool set out there and available. The listed tools posted on the GitHub page work specifically when Black Box encrypts files containing only zeros as well. And it also should be noted that the decryption tools will only work for the ransomware variant that has been used around April 2023. And that's all for me.
That's good. That's great news. Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate
problem.
that. And a big thank you to everyone that has taken the time to tune into Kroll's weekly threat intelligence briefing. We hope you found the session informative. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to contact the team at cti@kroll.com. That's cti@kroll.com. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful 2024. Thank you.